The Kirsten just subscribed with Prime.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everyone, to our uh another week of Tabletop RPG 101. I am your host, Beth the Exorcist. And oh wait, hold on. I need to fix this here. Give me a moment. Ooh, there we go. I forgot to take myself out of the equation in the group reactive image. There we go. That's better. So, all right. So thank you, Kira, earlier for the Prime sub. That's very much appreciated. I hope you enjoy your cookies. Um, and yeah, so today, as shown by the title, we'll be talking about player character death. Before we get started, I do want to preface that there are some new rules being established for the class. If you wish to for those of you who wish to participate in the Discord call. Most it mostly applies to those who wish to participate in the Discord call. So I will go ahead and read them off right now. Class will always be held on Wednesdays at 1300 Seattle time, unless stated otherwise. For those of you unfamiliar with military time, that is 1 o'clock p.m. Seattle time. If you show up late and wish to be caught up on what you missed, you will have to wait until the VOD has been published and watch it later. Any questions you have, keep the questions on topic. If asked to answer a question, stay on point. Do not go into a long narrative. If you wish to not be called upon, please say so in the sidebar of the class. Do not pop in and out of the class. You are either participating or not participating. Also, keep the class professional. This is a classroom setting, not a chat setting, or not a hangout session. Uh, Try to show up as the stage announcement is made for a better chance of being on time. And by entering the uh, TTRPG 101 stage call, you understand and agree with these rules. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and get started. Yeah, we'll get started with our topic. Let me reload the stage call here. Okay. So, I guess we start off the same way as, excuse me, say the same way as we start with any topic, is we have to define the subject. Um, so, player character death is a potent narrative ingredient that is capable of adding drama, consequence, and a unique sense of agency to the gaming experience. While its exact frequency varies greatly across genres and playstyles, it's estimated that PCs face the Reaper anywhere from, and yes, I have went through as many forums as I possibly could to give a rough estimate of this. Uh, it is estimated that PCs face the Reaper anywhere from 10 to 50% of the time, depending on factors like game difficulty, player risk taking, and the presence of permadeath mechanics. As for defining player character death itself, if for those who are clueless, player character death is when you you as a player, your character ends up dying. They fall to 0 hit points or they lose their sanity. They are dead. And player character death is arguably the most sensitive topic in all of tabletops, especially when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. So do keep in mind, I will be covering as many bases as possible throughout this topic. Uh, so to continue, I would like to go over, I would like to state that there are 4 very common culprits that cause player character death. And I'm going to give the students here a chance to take a crack at them. And they are somewhat generalized, so you do not have to be specific. Um, so we're going to start with Soup. We're going to call you up. Go ahead and see if you can name a very common way or category of the cause of a player character death. Mm-hmm. But what? Yeah, I'm asking you to name one example. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so that would follow under the category of combat encounters. So there you go. You have named one of the common examples, which is combat encounters. All right. So go ahead and plushie yourself, please, as I call up Bones to try and name another one. Yeah. Well, so that is a factor, yes. However, it is not a cause. Yes. So the human mind is never a cause of death. It is a factor to the cause of death. Yes, environmental hazards. That is a verbatim uh common culprit of death. God damn it. All right. For context, the in my Alpine campaign, we recently had a player character uh die from a submarine
H20
implosion,
Patrick 6 just redeemed hydrate.
and everyone please hydrate. So, thank you uh thank you Bones, and go ahead and plushie yourself as I call Soup back up to see if he can get another example. Hello. So there are two more yeah, there are two examples left. Go ahead and see if you can name one. Not accidents, it's environmental hazards. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have one, then you can just go ahead and say I don't know, because there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. All right. So go ahead and plush yourself as I will see if Bones has an idea. Okay. Yeah, this applies to any kind of tabletop, yeah. That's that would actually count as environmental hazard because you get a disease from the environment. So yeah. Yes. All right. That's okay because these two remaining categories are actually difficult to identify. So I'm actually not surprised. I'm not surprised you uh didn't manage to get these. So no, 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 it's not. It's not. So yeah, go ahead and plush yourself, please. So, no. Well, actually, yes, sort of, Soup, yes. So I'll go ahead and list the other two. Soup in the sidebar of the chat said retirement, which is does go under one of the categories. So the other two categories that were not named are puzzles gone wrong and story-driven events. Now, I'm going to go ahead and define each of the categories that were named. So for the combat encounters, from valiant last stands against overwhelming odds to clumsy stumbles into boss arenas, combat is often the most direct path to the afterlife. For environmental hazards, whether it's plummeting from treacherous cliffs, succumbing to toxic waste, or getting squashed by rogue boulders, the world can be a harsh mistress. Puzzles gone wrong, misinterpreted riddles, poorly timed lever pulls, and misplaced trust in pressure plates can all lead to untimely deaths or untimely ends. The story driven events, sacrifices for the greater good, betrayals by trusted allies, or simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes narrative fate seals the deal. So those are the four most common causes of death in tabletops. And Pat, curses do still count as environmental hazards, as curses are often given by environment. And other peoples are still considered part of the environment. Let's see here. So, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and carry on. Here. So, the next segment I want to go over is why PC deaths are important. Why should we have player character deaths in the first place? Because there are a lot of game masters out there that are often very afraid of having player characters die to the point where oftentimes they will have the player characters saved by an NPC or divine intervention, which yes, it may seem all fine and dandy, you being nice to the players and not letting your players die, but it also takes away so much satisfaction, and it makes the players feel like their choices do not matter whatsoever, to the point that they will either become uninterested in playing or get the mindset of, oh, I could do whatever I want without consequence. So I'm going to do just that. So, um, so I do want to state this in bold, all capital letters. Though it might seem counterintuitive, impermanence actually enhances player agency. It does not take away player agency. And in fact, it enhances the player agency in several ways, such as heightened stakes. Knowing death is a real possibility raises the stakes of every decision, making victories more thrilling and losses more impactful. It also enhances player agency by means of meaningful choices. The threat of permadeath can encourage players to carefully consider their options, leading to more thoughtful and deliberate gameplay. It also adds character investment. The potential for loss deepens players' emotional connection to their characters as they cherish their triumphs and mourn their falls. And then finally, it allows emergent storytelling. Unexpected deaths can create unpredictable moments and unplanned plot twists, enriching the narrative tapestry of the game itself. Now, there are ways to manage PC death in ways that feel fair and engaging, that ultimately, in a way that ultimately serves the game's overall experience. Now, I have gone through forums and looked at some and studied some other game masters over the years, and I have come up, uh, as I have taken notes, there are 4 popular methods of managing or dealing with PC death. So it is at this time I will call up um I'll call up Bones. See if you can name one of the popular ways to manage PC death.
Uh, Managing PC death. Well, now that I think about it, I've only had one character die in a campaign,
Yeah.
and that was via a story-driven event.
Yep.
Uh, which, when it comes to death, I like I like to keep it permanent because I want that sense of, I want that like consequence, and also I, I basically don't want death to basically be cheap, if that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
Like, life and death are not cheap. It's very meaningful. Um, that's the only thing I can really contribute in terms of like how I would manage player death.
Yes.
I I really
Permadeath is in fact the most popular method of management. And the reason being, it is the ultimate test of commitment, where each death is final and a new character must be forged. Um,
yeah,
that's it. Nothing more can be said about that. It is just all about commitment.
exactly.
It's like what Randy Feltface said. If you are going to use your phone in the show, fucking commit. Take calls. Matter of fact, make calls.
Randy Felt Face, you are a man of culture. I love
Yes.
that guy.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right. But yes, that is in fact the principle of permadeath. You, as much as you do not want this to happen, if you're going to incorporate permadeath, you have to commit. There is no if, ands, or buts. But yeah, thank you, Bones. Go ahead and plush yourself. As I'll go ahead and call Soup up to see if they can name another popular method.
All right. Player death is obviously an important thing, and the way that Bones put it, yes, having permadeath, or at the very least, very hard to reverse death, is a very common method of doing it. But the way that I would personally do it, and the way that you did it in your campaign with my most recent character, is not just to have the player die permanently, but to make their death meaningful.
Yes. The method that you are referring to, when what I did though, with like your ember existing, follows under the category of second chances. Because what I offered was a second chance for your character to live.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily your choice for the second chance. It was the party's, up to the party to take the opportunity or make an opportunity to find you, which one of the party members did in fact do so. And then your final chance was that D20 that you rolled.
I rolled a 5 on it.
Yes. And though that chance failed, I still gave you that chance.
Yep. There was still a chance for the politician to survive, but I don't think many people in that world would have cared if he perished or not, except for those he was in cahoots with, obviously, but that's an entirely different story.
Yes. But yes, making the character death meaningful is in fact a fundamental of managing the character death. Yes. So thank you, Soup, and I'll ask you to plushie yourself, as I'll ask Lily here to see if they can name another popular method. There are two popular methods left of managing character death.
I feel like I missed the first one, and I am a little bit late, so do forgive me if I go over something that's already been gone over.
Mhm.
Um, Shit, we've gone over second chances, we've gone over permadeath.
Yep.
Have we gone over the temporary death or the the false death?
So the thing about false death or temporary death is that is actually under a don't. That type of management falls under a don't. And the reason
Where
why
it
you do
belongs.
not
Good.
the reason why you do not want a temporary death is because it's basically Dragon Ball Z, a Dragon Ball Z trope where death is just meaningless at this point. No matter
Yes.
how many times you're going to die, you're eventually going to come back.
Yes. Yes. And that's why it's in the don't section where it belongs.
Yes.
The one of the false deaths I've encountered was a death-like state, a la Romeo and Juliet.
Mhm.
The poison,
Yes.
that one was actually done rather tastefully,
Mhm.
and it was used in such a beautiful fashion because what happened was this false death was used as a plot device where one of our one of our villains pretended to allow himself to be poisoned,
Soup
and
wishes
he
to
came
speak.
back a little bit later at his funeral, no less, sitting up in the coffin.
Interesting. So,
And then it was roll initiative. It was great.
so Soup wishes to speak. Come on
All
up,
right, I will
Soup.
plushie myself.
Yep.
I just figured since Liliana had mentioned this that I should probably mention this as well. Under the sort of similar umbrella to false deaths, I actually used to play on a regular basis with a dungeon master that would allow players to narrowly escape death in the most ridiculous situations.
Okay. Explain.
This is a real situation that happened where there were 3 players, myself and 2 others. One of them was the important one. I will refer to him as Bill. That was his character's name.
Mhm.
We were in the basement of a museum, and due to some combat that was going on, the museum was falling on top of us. I and the other unnamed player did manage to escape through a couple of teleportation methods. He was a caster, I was a soul knife rogue. We could teleport. Bill was a barbarian and asked the dungeon master if he could punch the building that was falling on top of him so that he could essentially create a tunnel to get out. The dungeon master let him, and he survived.
So that is a gray area. It yes, it that still falls under the second category. The second chance category where you're given a chance to escape death. And though it may be ridiculous, it does add. It may be ridiculous, but I'm guessing because from what it sounds like, the way you describe the group itself, they seem to have fun with it. So if it works and the players of that group are having fun with it, let them cook. That's the thing about game
Understandable.
masters. If
Yep.
you're if if your methods are a bit unethical in terms of game mastering, but your players are having fun, keep cooking. If it ain't
I should
broke, don't fix it.
I
But
should
else,
probably also mention this is not the only time he's managed to escape death
yeah,
by doing something incredibly stupid.
yes. But yeah. Uh, just when it comes to, I'm going to refer to. So I want to refer to an old quote, and this is going to be a common quote that I will probably be reusing throughout our classes. And that is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But also, if it ain't broke, it doesn't have enough features yet. So keep experimenting if you wish, but also keep in mind that uh, the methods that you're currently using that are bringing fun to your players probably all that you need.
And with that, I will take my leave from the stage once more.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so the other two popular methods that I want to reveal are respawn with penalties. Which I have seen quite a few times, and it works to a degree. How it works is the character loses progress, equipment, and experience, or excuse me, loses progress, equipment, or experience upon death, adding a sting but allowing the player to continue the journey. Then there is soulbound items, where in death you get to protect your treasured gear from permanent loss, even if the character perishes, allowing a chance for another character to take the possessions. To define the second chances, though, since I have not exactly defined the second chances method, second chances offer opportunities to revive fallen characters through consumable items, quests, or divine intervention. Ultimately, the best approach to PC death is the one that resonates with the game's tone and goals. Whether it's a constant shadow lurking at the edge of the screen or a rare but impactful event, player mortality can be a powerful tool for shaping meaningful, memorable gaming experiences. Remember that even in the face of potential demise, the true journey lies in the choices we make along the way. Go forth and embrace the dance with death, for it is the crucible of consequences that true agency is forged. Um, Deacon Blue, aka Bones, does make a solid point in the sidebar. Respawn with penalties is actually a thing that is it. So, for those of you familiar with the Dark Souls video games, that is actually a mechanic in the Dark Souls games that is used. When every time you die, you do suffer penalties, such as losing all the souls that you had in your pouch or on you. And also losing maximum hit points. Sometimes other stats will get lowered. The more you die, the harder it is going to be for your character to progress. And there are actually a few tabletops that do this. The best example I could think of is Tensho Bancho Zero. There is a mechanic where it's basically a 3 lives mechanic, where if you fall in battle, instead of marking the death box, you can instead mark the KO box. And there are 3 KO boxes. If you fill in all 3 KO boxes, then the next time you get knocked out in combat, you are dead. There is no coming back. You do not pass go or collect 20, or you do not pass go and collect $200. It is simply just death. So, with that being said, I do want to move on to the don'ts for player character death. So when handling player character death, and this is quite a list, so bear with me here. Don't punish players unfairly. Avoid sudden, unavoidable deaths due to unclear mechanics, unfair difficulty spikes, or bugs. Bugs, though it may be a digital term, bugs in a tabletop term are known as a loophole, are considered to be a loophole in the game mechanics. Make sure challenges are telegraphed and allow for strategic responses. Do not, for the love of God, everything that is holy, undermine the player choice. Don't force a PC death through scripted events or unavoidable choices. If you want a character to die, ensure that it feels like a consequence of the player's actions or the natural flow of the story, not as a result of your story. And which leads to the next don't. Don't rob players of agency. Do not take away control after a character dies. Offer meaningful choices regarding the consequences, revival options, or creation of a new character. But also when it comes to player agency, do not at all come up with a way to rescue your players. If you do this, you are weak. Also, when you do this, it is very likely that it will be obvious to the players, especially to seasoned players, veteran players of the game. It is one thing if you stumble across an encounter that you have designed that may seem much harder than you anticipated. But do not use, if you're going to do that, in that case, make it subtle, or at least offer the chance of escape. Just don't have, don't game master a way to just instantly save the player characters. The player characters have to make the choice, or the player characters have to make the choice that they want to be saved. It's basically, you gotta pull a psychological type of trick that plants the seed of inception, where they are the idea that they themselves are making to save themselves. Next, do not trivialize death. Don't make death too easy or frequent, as it can lose its impact and diminish the sense of risk and consequence. It's a balancing act. The more death occurs, the less attached the players will be to their characters. But the less death occurs, the more cocky and narcissistic and egotistic your players will become. And it is not a and that is a guarantee. It is not a theory or a threat. It is a fact. Next, do not forget the emotional impact. While death is a gameplay mechanic, remember its emotional weight. Be mindful of player investment in their characters and handle loss with sensitivity. Even if it seems that the player wasn't attached to that character very well, treat the player character death as a delicacy. Because you'll be surprised how much emotion they're hiding, or how much emotion that they do not realize they have in this player character death. Next, don't ignore player preferences. Discuss death mechanics and potential consequences with players beforehand. Respect their comfort levels and preferences for permadeath or revival options. I, as a game master, before any campaign I run, will emphasize up and down that permadeath is a thing that can and will happen in my games. And I will also remind everyone that death is around the corner. And if I get the feeling, any feeling at all, that a character is about to die in a session, I let them know at the start of the session, hey, be prepared for a character death. One of you may die. And then finally, do not make it a grind. If you offer revival paths, avoid overly tedious or repetitive tasks, because then it will make it feel like it's a punishment rather than a challenge. Do not punish your players. Challenge your players. And make sure you spend the time learning the difference between the two, as there is a vast difference between punishment and challenge. As punishment is meant to be as punishment is a form of retaliation for a character's actions, while a challenge is meant to encourage the players to either learn from their mistakes or head towards a certain goal. By avoiding these pitfalls and carefully weaving PC death into the narrative tapestry, you can ensure it serves as a powerful tool for engagement, meaningful choices, and ultimately a richer player experience. Remember that even in the uh, planes of the theater of the mind, or the planes of the mind, respect for players and their connection to their characters is key. So with that being said, we are going to enter the Q&A segment. So this is everyone's chance to ask questions if they so wish. And we've only been at it for an hour. So if my students here would like to have anything to add to the topic, they can do so. Let's see, Bones has a question or a comment.
So it seems like in D&D specifically, you have spells like Revivify. How would a beginner DM have? My question is how could you make death actually mean something in the presence of these spells or incantations or whatever without being like, yeah, I ban Revivify, like having to do anything overly drastic like that.
So the thing about revival spells is especially when it comes to D&D is that they're meant to be significantly difficult to cast in the first place. Mainly because of the ruling of gold when it comes to spellcasting. Currency is meant to actually be very difficult to earn in D&D.
Yeah.
Gold pieces especially is very, very hard to come by. Which is why with spells like Revivify requires 300 gold pieces to cast. And by rules of spellcasting in D&D, you do not need any components to cast a spell as long as you have your arcane focus. But there is an exception to the rule. If the spell says that it consumes the materials or requires gold or a gold piece value, you are required to have the materials present.
Nice.
So that's why and I've stumbled across this too. Where this was when I was running a one shot in VR chat. Where one of the players got executed. And so this was about to turn into the meme where they were going to cast Revivify and say his death sentence was carried out so we can go on to the next city. But the problem is, he did not know about the gold piece ruling. So, this was like one, you know how the VR chat D&D community is. They tend to pretend they know the rules when they don't.
Yes. Yes.
So what I ended up doing is I just asked, okay, You want to cast Revivify. How many gold pieces do you got? They only had 10 gold pieces. You cannot cast Revivify. What? Why not? I have a spell. I have a arcane focus. You are required to have the gold pieces in order to cast Revivify. So they could not revive that player.
Oh, wow. Granted, I didn't know about the gold piece rule, but I am a new DM, so I don't.
Hence why Friday when Ren was reviving her husband, I asked you as in the perspective of Ren if she could use money from the kingdom's treasury.
Yes, because now that makes sense because of basically the money needed to resurrect Fifth,
Yes.
the character, not your
Yes.
good self, but Fifth.
Soup wishes to speak.
I'll bless you myself.
Yeah, thank you, Bones, for your question.
Apologies that this may be slightly off topic, but it does relate to spells. This ruling of spells that require consumable or costly components is official and makes perfect sense in most circumstances. However, there is one book where this can be slightly altered, and that's only for very specific spells, as far as I'm aware.
Which spell or which book was that? Because I think I know which one you're talking about.
The book known as Acquisitions Incorporated, which has
Yes.
a couple of very funny spells and a specific spell component called royalties.
Yeah, because that's the one that introduces the factions, right? The faction mechanic.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
But for the spells that are introduced in that book, they are the only place where you can find spells with a royalty component. And it specifies that if you do not have the money or you do not wish to pay the money for that spell because it costs actual money to cast those spells, you can make an Arcana check to take the money from someone else within like 10 feet of you.
Oh, I do like that ruling, but at the same time, I get the feeling that there should be at least a punishment for that too, since people would eventually find out that their pockets feel lighter.
That is true. And if I remember correctly, I actually have the book right there I could reference if I need to. I believe it's a DC 15 Arcana check, and if you fail, you have to pay the money yourself anyways.
Okay. Interesting.
The Arcana check is just, can you convince the spell to take it from someone else's pocket?
Interesting.
I know it's a bit off topic since this is supposed to be about player death, but it did relate to spells, and
Yeah, no,
specifically the material component of spells.
No, that was actually pretty valuable input. Thank you. So,
You're
but
welcome.
yeah. Do you got any questions about or other comments about player character death though?
Maybe not so much about player character death, but how would one go about creating multiple copies of themselves without attempting to break the game?
That's a question for another topic. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say rain check on that one.
All right, because that Bill character I mentioned, that was a big problem with his character because he had like 10 clones.
Yeah. So anyways. But yeah, go ahead and plush yourself. Um let's see here. So anybody else have questions or comments? I don't see anybody in the chats that has any comments. questions? Nope. All right. So then we do have time, I guess, for. Well, I guess we do got time for more, if we so wish. So if you guys wish, we could do another topic in this class right now, or we can wait until next week. So people in the Discord, go ahead and just comment in the sidebar, yes or no. Well, looks like we got 2 votes for yes and 1 vote for no. So then I want you guys then to vote on the other 2 topics that we had listed. So either trap design or puzzle design. Which topic would you guys like to hear? We got 1 vote for puzzle. Puzzles. Okay. So we'll be adding. So let me add. Let me change the title real quick. Followed by puzzle design. All right. And then let me find my notes for the puzzle design real quick. Let's see here. Okay, found it. So puzzles add a delectable layer of challenge and intrigue to tabletop games. And it draws the players into intricate webs and can reward them with the satisfaction of discovery. So there are 5 types of puzzles, or 5 puzzle categories that are used in tabletops. And I'm going to go ahead and call each of you up. And thank you, Bones, for being with us. And get good sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and call up Soup first to see if they can name one type of puzzle. Do not describe the puzzle, just name the puzzle type. There we go. Let's go on up here.
All right. For types of puzzles, the first thing that immediately comes to mind is a puzzle based on the position of players, like a spatial puzzle.
Let's see here. Yes, that is actually a category. Pretty good. So go ahead and please plushie yourself. So a spatial puzzle, as what Soup has mentioned, is a challenge. Is a type of challenge, or it challenges the players to manipulate objects or visualize geometric relationships. Examples of real life spatial puzzles are the Soma cube, tangrams, and Rubik's cubes. And there are ways to incorporate those into tabletops. How you do that is you can leave up to your imagination. So next, Lily. See if you can name a type of puzzle.
I've always been fond of ciphers and cryptograms.
Give me a moment. Yes, so that would go under word puzzles. So, yes. Go ahead and please plushie yourself, Lily, as I explain the word
Alrighty.
puzzles. So word puzzles. These test vocabulary, wordplay, and knowledge of language. Examples of word puzzles are crosswords. Oh,
The Akirson just redeemed hydrate.
okay, everyone, hydrate, please. Uh, example of examples of examples of word puzzles are crosswords, anagrams, and rebus puzzles. There are 3 more left. We'll call Soup back up. See if you can name one.
All right. You said there were 3 more types left, correct?
Yes.
All right. So there are spatial puzzles, there are word puzzles, Uh, hmm. I'm not entirely sure what the term for this would be, but there is a type of something similar to a puzzle that I could describe, and you can see if it fits into a category.
Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of the mirror door puzzle?
Uh,
Where there is a door that reflects the players, and upon performing a certain action, they are allowed through.
Okay, yeah. So this does go under the category and is called lateral thinking. It's a lateral thinking puzzle. Lateral thinking puzzles require unconventional thinking and breaking away from typical patterns. Examples of these would be riddles with double meanings or double standards or impossible scenarios, which is what you described was a either a mixture of a double meaning or impossible scenario.
Okay, that would certainly describe it.
But yeah, such as um, and I'll give an example of the lateral thinking puzzle. So imagine you are in a room with no way out, and there's a bomb at the center of the room, and there's no way to disarm it. How do you survive? And there's nothing you can
Well,
hide behind. It the
nothing
bomb.
hide.
There's nothing you can hide behind. It is just a small room with a bomb in it, and no way out.
All right. I assume I am in here with the rest of my party members, which would include a caster, correct?
No, just imagine the puzzle as it is,
Okay. Just myself in a room with a bomb that cannot be disarmed.
and let me know when you
Well,
give up.
well, at the very least, I'm going to try and think of something that would make no sense in the immediate course of action. But uh, from my understanding, back in older days, if someone were to drop a live grenade, most people run away from it, obviously. In this case, you cannot.
Yes.
But if someone were to try and mitigate the damage that is done to as many people as possible, they would instead try to lay on top of it to prevent it from spreading as far as possible.
Hmm.
That would be the first thing that comes to mind. Depending on how large this bomb is, I would try and lay myself or something that I own on top of it to try and cover it up, which
So
probably wouldn't do very much.
I want to tell you that is the incorrect answer.
I figured as
The
much.
correct answer is you stop imagining.
I see. You did say imagine that I'm in a room.
Yes. Hi, puppy. Hi. All right. So
We require pictures of the puppy.
yes, I got a doggo here. All right. So but yeah, that is an example of lateral thinking because I gave you a riddle with a double meaning. And that wasn't an impossible scenario.
That's true. I believe that there may be a similar path to completing this puzzle, which would be more so reliant on a person's knowledge of, let's just say, sayings, where people say if you close your eyes, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that is yeah, all of that basically follows under the category of lateral thinking.
I see.
So,
In that case, I will excuse myself and let Lily take the stage again.
yes. So, with that Lily, there are two categories left. Let's see if you can name one of them. Boink. Come on up here.
Pardon, that was poorly timed.
Okay.
Okay, what was the question again? I guess I was talking over you, so to speak.
So there are 2 categories left. See if you can name one of them.
I'm so sorry, my brain blanked. 2 categories of what specifically?
Puzzles.
Thank you. Okay, so we've done the language puzzles and word puzzles. I'm trying to think of the name for it. It's a type of line puzzle where you have to go and ping certain objectives in a specific pattern. I cannot think of the name. I'm so sorry.
Well, you said
Well,
you said a magic word, which is pattern, and I'll give you it. That follows under the category of logic.
yes, yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Exactly like the mirror puzzle in Breath of Fire 3. It was one of my favorite puzzles to encounter. It was a light puzzle. Basically, you have mirrors that reflect light in a specific direction, and you have to walk around the entire room and turn the mirrors so that they're all reflecting the light so that it reaches the goal, which is a crystal at the other end of the room, and the bridge appears.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead and plushie yourself.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, logic puzzles. These rely on deduction, reasoning, and pattern recognition. Examples of logic puzzles are Sudoku, Minesweeper, and logic grids. Now there's one more type of puzzle. Let's see here. So yeah, there's one more type of puzzle. So let's see if Soup can get it.
All right. We've gone over 4 kinds of puzzles: spatial, word, lateral thinking, patterns.
Logic.
Would it be considered, yes, logic puzzles? Would it be considered a puzzle if you are required to retrieve a specific item in order to pass?
No, because that is considered a fetch quest or uh a delivery quest.
I see. I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because I thought that would fall under something like a key puzzle, but then again, that's not really a puzzle.
Seems like Lily has an idea, so I'm gonna call them up real quick. You can stay up here if you wish.
I think I understand what Soup is thinking of. Kind of like in the Resident Evil games where you have to go find the keys, or i.e., the quest items that will unlock a specific door, but you have to go find it. It's one of the search quests, not the fetch and deliver it to a person, but find the key to the door kind of thing.
That's
But
still
these also,
a fetch category because you're going fetch to get something.
okay, fair. Usually, I like the ones that come with about 3 or so, and then you have to, after collecting the items, you have to figure out how they arrange together to unlock the thing.
And that is still a logic puzzle.
Yes, that would be logic, and in some cases tied to spatial as well, depending on how it's constructed.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all I had to add. I will plushie myself again.
Mhm.
And I assume combat encounters to open the doorway would not involve puzzles, would they?
No.
In that case, unfortunately, I cannot think of a name for this final category.
Okay. Like you. And Lily, do you have? Let's see if you can try and name the final category.
I haven't the foggiest idea, boss.
All right. Go ahead and pleasure yourself, as I will reveal the answer. The final category is, in fact, cooperative puzzles. These rely on teamwork and communication to solve. Examples are escape room puzzles, coded messages needing multiple perspectives to decipher. And so, in other words, it is puzzles that are impossible to solve with one person. Now, now that we have gone over the types of puzzles, I am going to go over popular puzzle examples. The first example is the mysterious maze. Players navigate uh, players navigate a twisting labyrinth, manipulating walls or tokens to find the exit. This would be a mix of logic and spatial. Um, then the next example is called the forbidden words. Players cooperatively build a story using predetermined words, avoiding forbidden keywords. This follows under cooperative and lateral thinking. The enigmatic cipher. Players decipher a coded message using clues hidden within the game's environment or story. This would follow under word and logic. The shifting sands. Players manipulate tiles depicting desert landscapes, creating paths for their tokens while avoiding quicksand tiles. This would follow under spatial and logic. And with those examples explained, I would like to move on to the next segment, which is rewards and punishments. There are rewards and punishments that need to be considered when designing each puzzle. Rewards for solving the puzzle, and punishments for failure to solve the puzzle. There are things such as unlocking secrets, accessing hidden areas, powerful items, or crucial story revelations. Failure to do so could result in having forbidden access or being forbidden to access these secrets, unable to access these secrets at all. Gaining advantages. You could, by completing a puzzle, you could earn bonus actions, resources, or temporary abilities for future encounters. There's also progressing in the story, advancing to the next chapter, triggering pivotal events, or revealing character backstories. And then here's a list of failure consequences. There could be time penalties, resource loss, character disadvantage, or even character death, depending on the game's theme and tone. I'm going to give you some examples of unlocked secrets. Let's say you stumble upon a library and there's something odd about these books on a certain bookshelf. You decide to rearrange the books, and all of a sudden you notice that rearranging the books on the bookshelf in a certain way created a painting, and it opened a door. Inside the door is a treasury filled with to the brim with gold and riches that have not been seen in centuries. And that right there is a unlocked secret. There's also, and then an example for gaining advantages. Um, an example for gaining advantages, earning let's say you complete a puzzle and this puzzle happened to be a trial of some sorts. By passing this trial, you have indeed managed to get a gift from the god of the trial, granting you a boon or um uh, or granting you a boon or a charm. Then there is progressing the story. Failure to solve this puzzle means you do not get to advance the story. You're not allowed to advance the story until you solve this puzzle. And then finally, I'll give you examples of the consequences. Time penalties. Spending too much time on this a puzzle could result in an event happening off screen that was of essence, and you failed to take care of this problem in time. Resource loss. Let's say you the test was in a gas chamber filled with tear gas, and as a result of failing to solve the puzzle in time, you all have passed out. And because you have passed out, all of your possessions have now been taken from you. Character disadvantage. By failing to get out of a puzzle trap of some sort, you have been injured. And now your character is struggling because of this injury. Or finally, an escape room where walls are closing in, like in the movie Escape Room. You failed to get out in time before the walls finally closed in and crushed you. With the next segments, I will have some student participation. And this segment is called Motives and Threats. In order for your players to go at these puzzles, you have to give your players reason or a reason to solve these puzzles. So I'll go ahead and ask you guys to try and name a category or a generic motive/threat. Now, keep in mind that motives and threats are pretty much one and the same. It's basically for motive, if you do this, you get this in return. While threat means if you don't do this, you get this in return. So keep that in mind when you think about a motive/threat to do a puzzle. There are four motive/threats. And with that, I will start with Lily. You can name a motive/threat to do a puzzle.
Did it let me accept? Okay, great. Why is the bar still up there? Okay, so one motive is obviously character death. That one's always going to be very easy to come across, like a hostage situation, or somebody stepped into the bear trap and, well, oh, look, the bear trap is the room, actually. And now we
So
have to figure out a way to get them out of there.
so that would go under survival or escape.
Yes.
So yeah. Survival or escape. Solving the puzzle is necessary to avoid danger, defeat a villain, or escape a perilous situation. So, with that, I thank you for that, Lily. So please go ahead and go back to the plushy realm. As I'll call up Soup.
All right. So the first one was survival or escape. I would assume a time crunch would fall under a similar category.
Um, that's not really. That would follow under. That would also fall under survival or escape.
Yes, I figured as much
Yeah.
because time crunch is usually you are trying to get out of a dangerous situation,
Yes.
regardless of what it is.
Mhm.
Perhaps the uh reason that the group has decided to solve this puzzle is because it stands as an obstacle in their way. There may not be something forcing them to solve it as quickly as possible, but they do need to spend a significant amount of time figuring out the answer to this clue in order to progress further.
Um, that is considered a reward, not necessarily a motive. Um, they uh let's see here. And that's also basically what would be considered a motive or threat outside of character is considered a reward or punishment in character.
I see.
So the motives and threats are considered in character only. I probably should have
Motives and
specified that.
threats in character. Motives and threats in character. I don't think I could think of anything outside of what I just stated and a time crunch situation.
All right, no problem. If you come up with one, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll call Lily
Understood.
back up to see if they can name another one.
So, the one that immediately comes to mind is the political downfall. threat. If you don't solve this puzzle, something very terrible, not to you, not directly affecting your party, but affecting the region will happen.
That is still considered survival or escape because that means that is the survival of others.
Valid and fair. That's about as far as I can think right now. I am not fully firing on all pistons here.
All right, no problem. So then I'll go ahead and name off the other three. So please return to the plushie realm. All right. So the other three that were not named. First one is curiosity and discovery. The puzzle itself serves as the motivation, with players driven to unravel its secrets. The second, as stated, is, as already mentioned, is survival or escape. Solving the puzzle is necessary to avoid danger, defeat a villain, or escape a perilous situation. The third is competition and bragging rights. Solving the puzzle quickly or creatively earns players glory and recognition. And then finally, there is moral dilemmas. Some puzzles may present ethical choices, forcing players to weigh consequences before finding a solution. With that, we'll move on to the next segment, which are additional tips. When it comes to puzzle design, you got to think about theme integration. Tailor puzzles to the game's setting and narrative, enhancing immersion and player engagement. Next thing you need to think about is difficulty scaling. Offer tiered puzzles or adjustable difficulty, catering to different player skill levels. Clues and hints. Provide subtle clues or cryptic hints to guide players without spoon-feeding solutions. Aesthetics and presentation. Visually appealing puzzles using unique components or innovative mechanisms can pique player interest. So, which means do not be afraid to shy away from the game mechanics itself. Add in your own mechanics. Finally, playtesting and refinement. Test your puzzles with diverse players to ensure they are clear, balanced, and fun to solve. Your friends and family members are the worst playtesters, as they will they're the worst playtesters and are the worst critics, for they will be too afraid to give you honest answers. Always refer to strangers, never people that you know. Um, that will go ahead and I'll leave off with this before moving on to the final segment, which is Q&A segment. Remember that effective puzzles are not just roadblocks. They are opportunities for engagement, storytelling, and memorable experiences. Unleash your creativity, weave intriguing challenges, and watch your players revel in the joy of unraveling your tabletop labyrinth. And with that, we will move on to the Q&A segment. So do the people in the Discord have questions or comments or concerns? Soup.
All right. the first question that immediately comes to mind is the following: how would you, as a dungeon master, figure out what happens should the players circumvent a puzzle or solve it in a method that you did not intend to be solvable?
Reward them anyways. Because
For example, for example, let's say that you have a puzzle that involves rings, and these rings have various gems in them, and the point of the puzzle is to get all the rings to the bottom of this entire situation.
Mhm.
The barbarian proceeds to just rip the rings out of the wall and crash them into the bottom circle.
So I'm going to counter with another example. So you know the two doors, one person always tells the truth, one person always lies.
Yes, the lying and truth-telling guards.
Yes. So I'll tell you a verbatim solution that one of the players at my party one of the players at my table came up with when I presented them with a puzzle like this. The barbarian decided to kill uh one of the guards, and then he just asks the other one that was still alive, saying, "Did I just kill him?" And he said no. And then he just goes, "This one liar!"
I knew exactly where that was going because I've seen similar posts on the internet.
Yes. And so um regardless of the situation, regardless of any puzzle you present them with, if they manage to solve a puzzle in a way that you do not intend and it makes sense to you, or and it makes sense to you, reward them anyways. And don't even bother giving them the true answer. Let them revel in their victory. Um And I honestly, I even go as far as to give that player an inspiration point for their because uh as I've stated before time and time again, reward your players for their creativity. Game masters love it. Absolutely love it when players come up with something so creative that so creative and so in character that it breaks the game. We may not appreciate the fact that you broke the game. We may not appreciate that the fact that you broke the game, but we do appreciate how you broke it. So keep that in mind as uh, uh keep that in mind as you run into the situations. So in the situation that you described, give them the win. Give them the win. Don't even bother telling them what the real answer was. Say that that was the answer.
Very well then.
Yes. I know it may sound cookie cutter or cheesy, but however, again, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But also, if it ain't broke, it doesn't have enough features. And that moment that Soup described there was a prime example of the second half of the quote. If it ain't broke, it doesn't have enough features yet. So there you go. Are there any other questions? I am looking at the chat here for questions too, so don't be afraid. Anyone in the chat. Does not look like it. So we've been going at it for about 2 hours now. So we'll go ahead and find someone to raid real quick. Give me a moment. Let's see who is online. All right. So we're gonna raid the Petroleum Taco as they are doing just chatting right now. They're just chilling and watching VODs with their chat. So go ahead. So let's go ahead and raid them. Here's the raid message for those who are subscribed. The raid message for those who are not subscribed. And with that, let's get the raid started, shall we? Petroleum Taco. All right. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and learning today. The new topics will be posted within the next hour after stream ends. And be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Beth the Exorcist, if you wish to see more classes that I have taught in the past, or would like to take a look at the D&D or other tabletop sessions that I run. And tomorrow we'll be back here again with some liminal horrors. Or no, not tomorrow. That's right. Tomorrow I do not. Tomorrow I work. So our next session or our next stream will be Friday for the for All Star Alliance. So until Friday, everyone. Keep flapping those wings. Bye. Bye-bye.